After a year on the road, I thought I'd get tired of traveling. The endless clatter of railways, highways, and everything in between. But as my train pulled into the station at Bellariva, I felt every bit as excited as the first day of my journey. A whole year. It felt like a lifetime. The places I'd seen, the people I'd met, of course, the forgotten treasures I'd given a new lease of life along the way. I'm a restorer by trade. Bringing our most beloved possessions back to life is what I love to do. I'd been traveling for months, working my way from one town to the next, fixing everything from family heirlooms to VCRs. Bellariva was my chance to take a break. Unfortunately, that would have to wait until after I'd unpacked.
주인공인 마리아는 여행을 다니며 보건과의 일을 하고 있었습니다.
Finally, I'd made it to Bellariva. I'd come for the food festival, taking place in a few days' time. After living off TV dinners and instant ramen for the last few months, I was craving a decent meal. Of course, I'd need to earn enough money to pay for it, so I figured I'd head out the next day and find some work. My parents never wanted me to go. They wanted me to stay in their shop and have a simple, stationary life. I knew there was a world out there, beyond the four walls of our antique store, that I had to be a part of. I daydreamed constantly about the weird and wonderful places each of our antiques came from. I loved figuring out their stories, revealing the memories hidden beneath the screws and wires. My second day in Bellariva dawned bright and clear. Another beautiful sunny morning. Walking into town, I passed cafes overflowing with customers cradling their morning coffees. I stopped, breathing in the smell of roasted coffee beans and freshly baked pastries. I was about to go inside when the owner of Carmen's, the cafe next door, stopped me.
Hello, Maria? Were you here yesterday handing out flyers? I have a job for you.
마리아는 벨라리바에서 카르멘을 만나게 됩니다.
Her place was petite, tucked between its competitors as if hoping they wouldn't notice. Judging by the empty tables inside, though, her potential customers hadn't noticed it either.
카르멘은 작은 가게를 운영하고 있었죠.
It's a bit slow today, but we're just getting started. I'm sure it'll pick up soon.
As Carmen chatted, she walked over to the counter and returned with an old rotary phone.
At least I've got plenty of time to practice my recipe for the festival. It's a new special I've been working on. I was hoping to call my sister for some, seasoning tips, but it won't connect. Can you see if you can figure out what's wrong?
When I handed the phone back to Carmen, she seemed almost reluctant to take it from me.
어째선지 카르멘은 전화기 받기를 꺼려하고 있었죠.
So it's all working now, is it? I don't have to leave it to dry or let it cool down?
Nope, it's ready to go. It'll be ringing off the hook in no time.
That's if I can pay my phone bill anyway. And the rent and the suppliers. Anyway, take a seat and I'll be right with you. Your coffee's on the house.
I sat at one of the empty tables, while at the counter, Carmen had started dialing the phone.
Hello! How's my favourite sister doing today?
As she talked, Carmen became more and more tense. This didn't seem like a call for some cooking advice.
I know I still owe you from last time, but I can't afford to take part in the festival if I don't pay.
I could almost feel the eye roll at the other end of the line.
You don't need to be here, though. Can't you just put the check in the post?
언니와의 통화 내용은 돈을 빌려달라는 것이었습니다.
When the call ended, Carmen brought me my coffee, her hands trembling.
Sorry about that. My sister's decided to fly in for a visit. Oh God, I have to get ready.
결국 카르멘의 언니가 벨라리바에 오기로 되었죠.
Actually, I might have another job for you. Can you come by tomorrow?
The next day, I'd promised Carmen I'd return to help her get the cafe ready for her sister's arrival. I was about to set out when I received an unexpected call from my hotel's reception desk. Apparently, another guest had asked for me by name. Curious, I took the creaking elevator up to the top floor and made my way to the room number they'd given. I knocked.
Are you here about the camera? It's about time.
호텔에서 마리아는 헬레나를 만나게 됩니다.
The woman in front of me was immaculate, not a hair out of place or a crease to be seen.
My sister tells me you know how to fix things. I'd usually go to an expert, of course, but in this town...
So this was Carmen's sister? The two of them couldn't have been more different.
헬레나는 카르멘의 언니였죠.
Inside her room, I saw a beautiful reflex camera, any professional photographer's dream.
The viewfinder is completely dark. I can't see anything through it at all. I assume you can figure out what's wrong?
I felt a pang of envy as I handed the camera to Helena. I put my disposable to shame.
I picked it up on my first trip to Paris. It's a 1958 limited edition, the first of its kind. It cost me 3 months' salary, but it was worth it.
I had no idea what 3 months' salary meant to Helena, but I was pretty sure it was more than I could afford. It was strange, really, that we were even staying in the same hotel. I'd picked this place because it was cheap and cheerful, but surely she could afford somewhere better? She took some test shots, fiddling with the camera settings until she was absolutely satisfied.
This work is immaculate. At least there's one person in this town who knows what they're doing. Sending you to me might be the first thing Carmen's actually gotten right.
I wondered why Helena had bothered coming if she thought so little of her sister.
헬레나는 카르멘을 탐탁치 않아 했습니다.
I hear nothing from her for weeks, and then when she finally does call me, all she wants is money. If she thinks I'm lending her another penny, she'll have to convince me it's not a total waste of time.
그녀는 동생이 돈 문제로 연락한 것에 서운했기 때문이었죠.
That didn't sound good. If Hurricane Helena was about to hit, I hoped Carmen was ready. The sun was setting over Bellariva by the time I reached Carmen's cafe. From the outside, it looked as quiet as ever, but inside, I found Carmen cleaning like her life depended on it.
Maria! Oh, don't mind all of this. If Helena finds one speck of dust in here, I'll never hear the end of it.
카르멘은 언니의 방문을 준비하고 있었습니다.
Carmen seemed pleased to see me, but I sensed the fidgeting tension beneath each sweep of her mop. Trying to live up to the standards of someone like Helena seemed like an impossible task.
I hope you didn't mind fixing the camera for her. She was furious when it broke. I really need this to go well. If she doesn't lend me the money, I don't know how long I can keep this place going.
그녀는 헬레나의 돈이 없으면 가게 운영이 힘든 상황이었죠.
Carmen led me to a back room, where she'd laid out the components of what looked like a neon sign.
I had this made when I first opened the cafe, but I'm hopeless with electronics.
So there was supposed to be a sign outside. This might explain the lack of customers.
I'd like to put it up before Helena gets here. Can you give it a try?
It works! I'll screw everything together again and you'll be set. The sign fixed, we headed outside and mounted it carefully over the cafe door.
Oh, that's perfect, Maria. It looks just how I imagined it. When I had this sign made, it all seemed so simple. Oh, I can't believe I might have to give it all up. I hope I've done enough.
The smile froze on her face as she spotted something over my shoulder. I turned to see.
Of course, my sister owns the only cafe in this entire town that isn't actually open.
For better or worse, Helena had arrived.
헬레나가 도착했습니다.
Carmen opened her mouth to explain, but Helena swept indifferently past her. Finally pausing in the doorway, she turned back towards Carmen.
The first thing we're doing is getting rid of that hideous sign.
And with that, she disappeared inside. I hoped Carmen's chances of saving the cafe hadn't disappeared with her. When my last job of the day brought me to Carmen's apartment, the door was opened by someone I didn't expect to see, Helena.
Sorry for inflicting this mess on you. Carmen's never seen a knick-knack she doesn't want to buy, apparently.
Carmen's apartment was a little chaotic, but totally charming. It was easy to imagine her living in a place like this.
마리아는 카르멘의 아파트에 가게 됩니다.
It definitely wasn't Helena's style. She seemed more upmarket than flea market. I wondered why she was even here.
We're having a clear out, or at least I am. Carmen's not helping, as usual. There's a market at the festival tomorrow. I'm selling some of these things to make her some money. She says she has nothing when there's all this stuff right under her nose.
Helena stepped delicately past the items on the floor and reached down to pick up one from the pile.
Look at this slide projector. Our parents treasured it, but Carmen treats it like a piece of junk. Can you take a look? When we were younger, Carmen was always following me around. I suppose she looked up to me. A cool older sister. She used to ask me when I was coming home, but I was always too busy.
Helena was transfixed, staring at the two young sisters the projector had brought glaringly into focus.
헬레나는 프로젝터에서 비추는 사진을 보며 생각에 잠깁니다.
I never meant to let her down.
But you haven't, have you? You came all this way just to help with the cafe, plus the money.
That's the problem. There is no money. I lost my job a few months ago. My savings are almost gone. I have nothing.
사실 그녀는 실직한 지 얼마 안 됐고 남은 돈도 얼마 없는 상황이었죠.
Common thinks I'll throw my checkbook at her bad decisions and make them okay. But I can't. Not this time. You know, the funny thing is, I came here wanting to tell her the truth. But she's so infuriating. How can I ask her for help when all she cares about is herself?
그녀는 자신의 상황을 모른 채 부탁만 하는 동생에게 화가 나 있었죠.
Helena fell silent, shrinking under the gaze of her younger self, projected onto the wall.
We drifted so far apart when I moved away. It felt like the only thing keeping us together was my bank balance. I know I have to tell her the truth. It isn't fair. But I already lost everything else. What if I lose her too?
헬레나는 카르멘까지 잃을까봐 걱정을 하고 있었습니다.
The day of the festival finally came, and after all my hard work, I was ready to put down my tools and pick up a fork. The smell as I entered the main square was incredible. Each stall was selling food even more delicious than the last. The competition would start any minute. Most stall holders were waiting anxiously for the mayor to pay them a visit. All of them, that was, except Carmen, who was still frantically chopping vegetables and stirring pots.
Maria! Thank God you're here. Can I ask you the world's biggest favour? Helena was supposed to help me run the stall today, but she never turned up. Probably too ashamed to show her face. I can't believe she lied to me.
가게를 돕기로 한 헬레나는 어째선지 가게에 오지 않았습니다.
Carmen was stirring so furiously, she was in danger of tipping the pot over altogether.
The mayor will be here any minute for the judging, but I'm almost out of my special.
She wasn't really going to ask me, was she? Not on my day off.
I have a stove ready to build and everything. Can you set it up and make me a spare batch?
I think that pot is really boiling now. Smells great, if I say so myself. Here are the ingredients that Carmen's given me. What to add first? My part done, Carmen took over and added the finishing touches. It was just in time, as a moment later, Joseph arrived with Izzy in tow. Carmen anxiously handed them both a serving.
That was so tasty. Can I have some more, please?
Well, you've certainly earned yourself a loyal customer in my daughter. We have a few more meals to taste, but so far you are one of the best. Good luck.
카르멘의 음식은 시장에게 좋은 평을 받게 되었습니다.
Joseph and Izzy looked so happy together. Maybe the festival was doing them some good after all. Carmen, on the other hand, seemed annoyed. But why, when it had all gone so well?
I wish Helena was here to see this. She's so convinced I'll never succeed at anything.
헬레나가 자신의 성공을 보지 못하여 카르멘은 화가 났습니다.
She wants what's best for you. She's just not very tactful about it.
Yes, I know. Even when I was a kid, she pushed me when no one else did.
카르멘도 헬레나의 헌신은 잘 알고 있었습니다.
I just wish she hadn't lied to me. But then, I've asked so much of her over the years. I never stopped to think how much she actually had to give.
The festival finished. I only had one day left before I had to catch my train and leave Bella Riva behind. I couldn't go without saying goodbye to Carmen. So, that evening, I made my way to the cafe. It was unrecognizable. She'd done it. Best food in Bella Riva. Half the town was outside waiting to see what the fuss was about.
카르멘의 가게는 유명해졌고
Maria, my favorite sous chef. Come on through.
It was Carmen, acting every inch the successful cafe owner she deserved to be. Even Helena was there, serving the coffees. This was the last place I expected to see her after yesterday's drama.
헬레나도 가게에서 일을 하기 시작했습니다.
Carmen led me through to a balcony upstairs, where she brought out an old record player.
I found out where Helena was on the day of the festival. She was selling her camera to clear the cafe's debts. But then she didn't have much left for herself. So, I've asked her to come and stay with me for a while. We have a lot of catching up to do.
헬레나가 페스티벌 날 오지 않은 이유를 카르멘은 알게 되었고
I wanted to give her this, to cheer her up. We listened to it all the time when we were kids. Do you think it has one last tune in it?
Okay, let's see what happens when we turn this.
What will remain of these days? The sweetest words I've ever heard. What will remain of the smiles, the ones that stole my heart that day?
The record player's crackling tune must have caught Helena's ear, as she appeared a few moments later.
Is that my old record player? I can't believe you've kept it all these years, Carmen.
Leaning over the music, they looked just like the young sisters the slide projector had preserved all these years, inseparable once again.
두 자매는 서로를 이해하기 시작했죠.
Carmen told me about your camera. That was a really generous thing to do.
I loved that camera, but I love my sister more. Now it's her time to be the person she wants to be. I'm going to stay here with her for a while. Make up for lost time.
Carmen and Helena's relationship wasn't suddenly going to be perfect, but they were both prepared to try. And to think, it had all started because of a call Carmen made about some seasoning tips. I guess in the end, maybe it wasn't so hard to just pick up the phone and dial. I hadn't spoken to my own parents in a year. I wanted to hear their voices more than anything. But the silence between us was so cavernous. I didn't know how I'd ever find the words to bridge it.
마리아는 그런 자매의 모습을 보며 자신을 돌아보게 되죠. 여러분들의 가장 가까이 그리고 가장 성가시다고 생각할 수도 있는 그 사람이 여러분들을 가장 잘 이해해 줄 수 있는 사람입니다. 지금까지 구두였습니다.